Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Continuing on our discussion of Vilakusmanjali. So, if Krishna meets with Radhika and he kisses her, that sign comes on the bodies of the Manjaris. The same thing goes for her moods of separation. When Radhika feels separation, the gopis who are her Manjaris also feel that separation. Whatever mood she possesses appears on their bodies, in their minds, and even in their souls. So there's a very beautiful description by Kavi Karnapur in a book called Alankar Kaustuba. This is in Gurudev's commentary, so you won't find it here. We'll be reading that part afterwards. Patatyashre sasra bhavati pulake jata pulaka smite bhati smira sumai lanamani jate sumalinaha anasvadya svailer mukuram avivikshya svavadanam sukam va dukam va kim api kataniyam mrigadrishaha. Krishna himself says to Srimati Radhika, "O doe-eyed Srimati Radhika, when your Manjaris stand before you, then what is the use of a mirror? Just by looking in their faces, you can see whether you are happy or sad." So he's saying, "Oh Radhika, if the Manjaris are standing in front of you, then you don't need a mirror. Because if you look at their faces, you can see if you're happy or sad. Or if you are weeping, they'll be weeping. If your hairs are standing in ecstasy, also the Manjari's hairs will stand in ecstasy. When Radhika smiles, the Manjaris will smile. When she is sad, they will also be sad." So in this way, the Manjaris are Tadatma, or one at heart with Srimati Radhika. Now another interesting point. In the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Sanatana Goswami makes the point that when we look at the gopis in separation, most people think they're experiencing like unhappiness, that this is very miserable. But actually, their separation is an ocean of ananda. It looks like unhappiness, but really they're experiencing complete bliss. The reason is that their very bodies are made up of this ananda bliss. So when they are supposedly suffering in separation, at that time also they're in bliss. This is an important point. So in that realm, actually, even the sadness is blissful. In this world, even happiness is mixed with suffering. Yes, good point. But there, even sadness is really happiness or blissful. You know the example Gurudev gives of like drinking hot sugarcane juice, like a sugar syrup with some nice spices, and it's so sweet you don't want to stop drinking it, but it's also very hot, so it's burning your throat. So he says the separation there is extremely sweet, but at the same time it's burning. But ultimately, it's blissful. You can see in this world even some kind of reflection of that. If you're very in love with someone and you're separated from them, but you're completely thinking of them, there's a kind of sweetness in that contemplation of them. It's better, they say, like, is it better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all? You know this saying? The idea is that if you had a loving relationship with someone and then even you're far away from that person, but even in absence, when you think about them, it is a certain rasa. And it has a certain kind of, I don't know if sweetness is the right word, but it gives a certain kind of, even in sadness, there's a sweetness. It's like a certain kind of mellow. If you look within, like, Madhurya Ras, which means some kind of romantic mellow. When lover and beloved are separate from one another, and they're thinking of one another, or they may be very morose or downcast, But if just by thinking of the beloved, they feel some kind of, I don't know what the right word is. You know what I mean? It's like there's a certain kind of joy, not even, you wouldn't say joy, but it's a certain kind of bliss almost. What do you think? Not even contentment. It's like, it's a different ras, you know? The meeting is one ras, separation is one ras. But if there's love, then meeting and separation are like the two sides of love. And both are pleasurable. You can say it gives a kind of pleasure. Like people like to watch not just comedies, but also tragedies. You know, like Romeo and Juliet. At the end, you know, it's a tragedy. But even that, it gives people pleasure. Otherwise, why would they watch it? Why would they watch the drama? Or why would they read the story if it doesn't give them a certain kind of pleasure? And that's only a mundane example, right? So in the spiritual world, even when they are feeling separation, there's still transcendental bliss in that. And spiritually, it's that way because the point is made that the gopis' own bodies is made of bliss. In this world, our bodies are made of material elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether, and then the subtle elements: mind, false ego, intelligence. In that world, their bodies are made of ananda, bliss. There's a famous verse in Brahma Samhita 5:37. Ananda chinmaya rasa pratibhavitabis tabirya eva nijarupataya kalabir galoka eva nivasatya kilatma bhuto govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Ananda chinmaya ras. Those three words are very important. Ananda means bliss, chinmaya means spiritual, and rasa means a certain mellow of loving exchange. So the very bodies of the gopis are made of this ananda chinmaya ras. And then the rest of the verse is, in this case, it's not relevant, okay? But their bodies are made of ananda chinmaya ras, which means even in separation, they're feeling happiness. So from a distance, you think, oh, it's so much sadness. Now at the same time, it's said that the separation and the pain of that is more than a pain that we can imagine in this world. Because the greater your love is, the more pain you will feel in separation. So when Krishna left Braj, and he was gone for many, many years, then that pain, it's said that in that song, Tuhu Sera Hilo Madhupuri, when Krishna went to Braj, our Acharyas sing this song that's saying all the trees lost their leaves in sadness, all the birds stopped flying and they're all laying on the ground, everyone stopped eating, all the Brajbasis' kitchens were filled with cobwebs. For whom would they cook? All the cows became skinny, the calves stopped drinking milk, and they were all absorbed in this miserable condition of separation from Krishna. So they're experiencing a pain that we cannot even imagine in this world because their love is so much greater than any love we have experienced here. So the separation and the pain of separation is therefore that much greater. But at the same time, there is a certain form of pleasure or bliss in that. Then Gurudev gives an interesting example. He said, actually Sanatana Goswami talks about the example of fire and ice. And then Gurudev tells a story. He said once he went for darshan in the Himalayas to Badri Narayan, where the Ganga appears from the mountains. And he said it's a very narrow point there. And he went there and it was just about to be the winter when Gurudev went there, and all the roads were becoming closed because of all the snowfall. Gurudev said that he was walking on parikrama with Param Gurudev and Trivakam Maharaj, and their feet were sinking in the snow. It was a nice adventure. In Guru Darshan, there's a story that one time an avalanche came, and actually Param Gurudev had saved. Trivakam Maharaj and Gurudev had wanted to go ahead through a certain pass to prepare accommodations for the parikrama pilgrims the next night. But Param Gurudev said, no, stay here with us. They wanted to go ahead one day and prepare places to stay and prasadam. He said, stay with us. And that same day, an avalanche came through that pass, and everyone who was there died. So Param Gurudev saved them like that. So they're in that kind of dangerous environment. So then Gurudev said, in the morning time, they would have to go to the bathroom. but where would they go? You know, they're in the mountains, in the Himalayas. This was back in the 40s and 50s. So there wasn't like a nice hotels and facilities. Also, they didn't have money. So they would go to the bathroom in the forest, and afterwards they would bathe in the river. And he said it was so cold, when you would go in the river, it felt like your hands were being cut by knives. Felt like your whole body was being cut by knives. Have you ever bathed in like freezing water? And then he said, when you would bathe in the river, it felt like knives, but it also felt like you were on fire. It was so cold that when you went in the water, it felt like you were on fire. So he said, the example is, Sanatana Goswami tells that when prem is in its extreme stage, then your remembrance of Krishna becomes so intense, you feel that Krishna is meeting with me. It's a mystery. It becomes like the ice cold water that feels like fire, even though it's practically ice. Or there's different degrees of coldness, right? It's so cold that it gives you a burning sensation. So in the same way, when you become so absorbed in Krishna because of separation, you start to, it becomes like a spurti, an image or a glimpse of your past meeting with him. So you may experience that in your heart, but you will not be able to differentiate, am I meeting with him or am I apart from him? That's why Krishna, when he was sitting with Radhika at Prem Sarovar, Radhika was in his lap, but simply when Madhu Mangal chased away the bumblebee and he came back and said, Madhusudan has gone. We know this story. The bumblebee was trying to drink the nectar from Radhika's lotus-like feet. And so Madhu Mangal chased the bee away. He came back and said, Madhusudan has left. So then she fell senseless in Krishna's lap. Even though she was sitting in Krishna's lap, her love was so intense, she felt like she was separate from Krishna. And that time, Krishna also became senseless in separation. And afterwards, Krishna thought, even when she is with me, she feels separation. But if I am far away, then in separation from me, she becomes so absorbed in me, she starts to feel like she is with me. We see this even with the other gopis. When Krishna left the rasa dance, they searched for Krishna. At one point, they became so maddened in separation from their love of Krishna that they began to think, I am Krishna. And they began to enact Krishna's pastimes. And one gopi would climb on top of another gopi like she was Putana. One gopi would fight with another as if he was a demon. You know, they began to enact the role of Krishna's pastimes. They became so absorbed in him like that. And then also they became so absorbed afterwards that they felt like they were directly meeting with Krishna. So this happens with Radhika also. So he said we cannot see that in this world. When we see people in love in this world, it doesn't reach such an extreme state of love. But in that world, in the extreme state of love in separation, it becomes like meeting. So that's one speciality. So when Raghunath was sitting on the bank of Radhakund, serving Mahaprabhu, he could witness that Mahaprabhu, he remembered Mahaprabhu in the Gambhira, and Mahaprabhu was experiencing this kind of separation, calling out, Krishna, Krishna. Sometimes Mahaprabhu would run out of the Gambhira and jump in the ocean, and then in separation he would have a spurti, which means that a spurti, we think of spurti as like, we imagine something. But real spurti means you have like a spiritual glimpse of the pastimes and you feel like you are in those pastimes. It's like a like virtual reality, you know? Not like one thing is like looking at a picture, then you can look at a movie on a screen, but you can nowadays you can put on virtual reality goggles and you can walk around, you know? And they have things where you can be like on a moving platform, walking in different directions. And then also you can get sensations, they can put like a bodysuit on so you can feel it. Nah? You can feel the pressure on your body, heat, cold, if someone hits you in a video game, for example. So spurti is like that, it's complete immersion in the pastime, even though you may not be directly there. So in separation, you become so immersed in the pastime, a spurti will come and then you'll be present there directly. So when Mahaprabhu jumped in the ocean, he did not see that the ocean was the ocean. He saw that it was Kalindi, the Jamuna in Braj. and that he was with Radha Krishna in their pastimes in the Jamuna, in their water pastimes. And then he came caught in the fisherman's net, right? And then simply by touching Mahaprabhu, who was in the state of Mahabhav, then that fisherman also became maddened in love and was incessantly chanting Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And when Swarup brought Mahaprabhu out of this absorption by loud chanting of Harinam, then Mahaprabhu said, "Where have you brought me? I was with Radha Krishna in their pastimes, and now you've brought me back into separation from them." So this is the state of complete separation, where you become so absorbed in your beloved that you experience this kind of spurti where you are directly meeting, like the example of the virtual reality. Even though that's a very mundane example, we can imagine it in reality, in the spiritual world, where they cannot distinguish what is actually happening, where I am, or if I'm in Krishna Lila, meeting with him, or in separation. In separation, they experience meeting. So then sometimes people say, what is better, meeting or separation? Some Vaishnavas say separation is better. But Gurudev would say we should think from the perspective of the manjaris. What do the manjaris pray? Yugala milan sukara karan jivana charite pari. I will give up my life just to arrange the meeting, Yugala milan, the meeting of Radha Krishna. So they always want Radha Krishna to be meeting. They don't want Radhika and Krishna to be separate. And if anyone should be in separation, then Krishna can be in separation of Radharani, but Radharani should not be in separation from Krishna. That's the mood of the manjaris. And Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada said one thing very important. He said that our most important sadhana and sadhya, practice and goal, is to serve the Brajabasis when they're feeling separation from Krishna. He said that's one of the topmost kinds of service. That when the Brajabasis are in Braj, after Krishna has left Mathura, then we should serve them. And this is one of the stages in our development. If we give up this body after doing strong practice, then we may go to Vrindavan, where Krishna is performing his pastimes in one universe or dimension. We will go to Boma Vrindavan, which means Krishna's pastimes on earth. And we will serve there just like when Krishna was performing pastimes on this earth also. So it's like the acharyas say that at every moment Krishna is appearing in another Brahmanda, another universe, performing his pastimes. Not in every second even, in every fraction of a second. It's called like a nimesh, 1/8 of a second. So like when you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Krishna has appeared in 80 more universes and started his pastimes in those 10 seconds. So when you perform your sadhana, you become perfected to the state where you're able to achieve a body and Braj in one material world. And then you can serve there. And then you perfect that, then you can achieve Vastu Siddhi, which means complete perfection of your spiritual form in eternal Aprakrit Dham, which means the transcendental world itself. But at some point we have to serve in separation. So the question is separation better or meeting better? So for the sadhakas, separation is very important. If we look at the bhajans we sing, generally we sing bhajans of our acharyas who are like Gaudiyas, usually from Bengal. Or if we look at the songs of Chandidas or Jayadev, they're in the moods of separation generally. Narottam Das Thakur, mostly in the moods of separation. Kabe Krishna Dana Pavo. Also some meeting is there, but usually it's in this mood of prayer and separation. And if you look at like Hindustani kirtans in Braj, usually they're in the moods of happiness and meeting. But for the sadhaka who is practicing, the moods of separation are more beneficial. And it's said that if we worship Mahaprabhu and develop the moods of separation by serving Mahaprabhu, then we can enter meeting with Radha Krishna in Braj. So if you look at Shikshastakam, it's like the roadmap for us. And the Shikshastakam, these 3 verses, Ayi Nanda Tanuja Kinkaram, separation mood. Nayanangala Rashudaraya, separation mood. Yugaitam Nimeshana, these 3 verses are all separation mood. When will my eyes fill up with tears? When will my hair stand on end? When will my voice choke up? when I'm chanting your names in separation? When will even a moment feel like an age in separation from you? When will I feel the whole world to be void apart from you? We need to develop that separation because that will burn through our attachments to this world. If we develop so much love for Krishna that we feel like the whole world is desolate and void to us, then at that point we can transcend it and go to Krishna's own abode. Krishna said, Man mana bhava mad bhakto, absorb your mind in me. So the best way to absorb our mind in him is to develop love for him, and then be in this world we are naturally separate from him. So we have to develop this mood of separation, and then we can go to him. So separation is very useful for the sadhaka, but ultimately meeting is higher because our goal is to help serve in arranging the meeting of Radha Krishna. So we'll stop here. Questions? Anything to discuss from yesterday? Okay. So nice points. What did we talk about? We can recap. This idea of meeting and separation, and the manjaris are like mirrors of Radhika's moods and pastimes of Mahaprabhu. And anyhow, that's good. So let's stop here and do a verse. Hitanang Pavani Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha.